a sick psychopath and should be in jail for the rest of his life. Or even a death penalty. I heard they're giving people death penalty now. Give him a death penalty. You said what? You give him the death penalty.
It's no secret the street's been calling for David to get the chair. And when the gavel dropped, the judge turned this into reality. The jury showed no mercy. The crowd watched in shock. And in an instant, David was laid out cold in court. Let's break it down. Will this dude actually get the chair or not? Yo, when I tell you this David situation got more heat than a block party in July, I ain't playing around. The feds are building a case against this cat that's so wild, so absolutely bonkers that we're talking about the chair, the needle, the whole 9 yards. This ain't just some regular celebrity scandal. This is straight up evidence that could send this dude to meet his maker courtesy of the state of California. Now let's talk about the charges that could put this dude in the ground legally. Murder in the first degree is the big kahuna. First degree murder needs premeditation and planning. The evidence suggests several factors that could prove he planned this out. The matching tattoos showing their relationship, the song lyrics that could be seen as planning, and the careful way he chopped up and disposed of the body. In California, it ain't just any murder that puts you in line for the death penalty. You gotta cross certain lines that the law sees as special circumstances. Out here, if somebody takes out a kid under 14, that's already enough to have the DA talking about strapping somebody into the chair. Celeste was 15, but if prosecutors can prove the relationship with David started when she was younger, when she was still basically a kid, then that alone could shift the case into death penalty territory. Then there's the part nobody wants to picture but can't avoid talking about: murder tied to sexual assault. If it turns out that all those whispers about grooming and exploitation weren't just whispers, and if the physical evidence lines up, that's another door wide open for the harshest penalty. And the brutality of it all, the fact that her body was found dismembered, chopped up in a way that left cops shaking their heads. Prosecutors could call that torture, extreme cruelty, a kind of sadism that pushes a case into the darkest category. On top of that, the system also looks at motive. If money was in the picture, like insurance policies or some twisted financial play, that counts too. It paints the crime as cold-blooded, calculated, not just tragic, but transactional. Put all those pieces together and suddenly this ain't just another Los Angeles case with a famous name attached. This is the kind of story where the streets, the suburbs, and even the courtroom start asking the same thing. If this don't qualify for the death penalty, what does? Felony murder is another way to get to death row. If prosecutors can prove Celeste got killed during statutory rape or other sex crimes, it automatically becomes first-degree murder eligible for the death penalty, whether he meant to kill her or not. The sex crime charges that could support felony murder include statutory rape, which covers having sex with anyone under 18, regardless of whether they said yes. Since Celeste was 13, 15 during their alleged relationship, and David was 18, 20, this charge is practically guaranteed. Even worse is lewd or lascivious acts with a child, which covers touching a kid under 14 for sexual purposes. If the relationship started when Celeste was 11, 12 like they're saying, any physical contact could support these charges. Kidnapping could also get added to the pile if prosecutors can show David transported Celeste across county lines or held her against her will. Celeste had been reported missing since April 2024 from Lake Elsinore, California, about 70 miles from where David was posted up in Hollywood Hills. If he was keeping her during this time, that's kidnapping all day. The way Celeste's body was chopped up adds charges that show extreme cruelty. Desecration or mutilation of human remains covers willfully mutilating or disturbing human remains without authority. This isn't just about disposing of the body. The level of dismemberment suggests torture or extreme cruelty that could support death penalty enhancement.
In any violent criminal case, there's no such thing as coincidence. Now, every coincidence is circumstantial evidence. They're a data point that points at motive.
All this evidence creates what prosecutors call a web of guilt. Each piece might not be definitive by itself, but together they create an overwhelming case. The victim found in his whip, the matching tattoos, the digital messages going back years, the song lyrics, the witness intimidation, it all points to a calculated pattern that ended in murder. But the most damning evidence might still be coming. The autopsy results are still pending, and once they figure out how and why she died, it could be the final piece prosecutors need for first-degree murder charges. The medical examiner said the cause of death is deferred and there will be more toxicology testing. If the autopsy shows evidence of sexual assault, torture, or other aggravating factors, it could give prosecutors the special circumstances they need to seek the death penalty. Combined with all the evidence of planning and the victim being so young, this case has all the elements prosecutors usually look for when considering capital charges. The investigation into David is still going down. Now peep this. While Homeboy hasn't been arrested yet, and they haven't officially called him a suspect, the streets are saying the evidence they got is harder than concrete, and it's piling up faster than bodies in a gang war. First off, let's talk about the physical evidence that's got this dude cooked like Sunday dinner. On September 8th, 2025, they found a badly decomposed and chopped up body of 15-year-old Celeste Celeste Rivas Hernandez, wrapped up in plastic in the front trunk of a Tesla that was registered straight to David Anthony Burke. That ain't circumstantial, homie. That's your name on the paperwork with a dead body in your whip. But yo, it gets wilder. Both Celeste and David had matching tattoos on their right index fingers, which is some intimate relationship type shit that shows this wasn't no random encounter. Celeste's moms confirmed to TMZ that her daughter had been talking about having a boyfriend named David, connecting all the dots like a coloring book for prosecutors. The digital evidence they uncovered is straight fire that could burn this dude to ashes. Multiple posts on social media and photos that resurfaced claim David started messing with Celeste when she was around 13 or 14 years old, with investigations showing that these two had been talking since Celeste was as young as 11 or 12 years old, with Discord messages going back to 2022.
Here's more receipts of him communicating with her when she was 13 years old in 2022 in Discord. Now, and on your left is more screenshots of people who's been on FaceTime with her and David. My thing is, what was he doing on FaceTime with these kids, with these children, bro?
Now here's where it gets really spooky. This cat allegedly wrote a whole song called Celeste.
Apparently, David wrote it in 2023, and the lyrics are kind of crazy.
But wait, there's more heat coming from his biggest banger. His hit song Romantic Homicide got lyrics that sound like a confession. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. The timing is suspect as hell too. The song dropped on September 7th, which happens to be Celeste's birthday.
So Celeste, her birthday is September 7th. We know this from the missing person poster. Her birthday is September 7th. David released a song on September 7th titled Romantic Homicide, where he raps about murdering his love interest.
The feds raided Shorty's crib in the Hollywood Hills, and that search might be the nail in his coffin. On September 17th, 2025, detectives from Robbery Homicide Division served a search warrant on the 1300 block of Doheny Place in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. They took several items of evidence that are being analyzed by detectives. TMZ reporting that detectives spent 12 hours looking for blood stains or blood evidence in that crib. If they find blood that matches Celeste's DNA, it's a wrap that establishes where she got murked and gives prosecutors everything they need for that first-degree murder charge that could send him straight to death row. That Tesla he was pushing might be the smoking gun that seals the deal. Modern Teslas are basically computers on wheels, keeping track of everything.
Chat, from what I know, wasn't them Tesla vehicles gave the clearest 4K pictures ever of the shooters of Julio Fulio? If that's the case, this goddamn Tesla should be the key. If this is the case, if David did this, he's the dumbest nigga on earth.
The witness intimidation and cover-up attempts are just adding more charges to the pile. Word is David was paying people to keep quiet about the relationship, sending cease and desist letters and threatening lawsuits to shut people up. One Twitter user put together a whole thread showing these interactions, pointing out that people in David's crew knew what was up, but stayed quiet because of legal pressure.
It seems like people are actively now trying to purge evidence from the Discords and cover up everything that's been going on.
The evidence against David keeps growing every day. From the digital messages establishing a years-long relationship with an underage girl, to the physical evidence of her body found in his ride, to the potential evidence of torture and extreme cruelty. This case is building towards some of the most serious charges possible under California law. The question ain't whether the evidence supports death penalty charges, it's whether prosecutors got the heart to seek them and whether the system will actually follow through. The evidence that's about to get this dude fried. While the evidence against David is stacked higher than bricks in the trap, and the potential charges are serious enough to send him straight to the afterlife, the hood truth about California's legal system means actually getting that lethal injection is about as likely as finding a snitch in the pen who lives to tell about it. California still got the death penalty on the books, but they basically put a moratorium on execution since 2006, and Governor Newsom made it official in 2023 that ain't nobody getting the needle. This ain't just some temporary political flexing. It's a whole shift in how Cali handles putting cats to sleep permanently, and there's no signs of that changing anytime soon. The numbers don't cap about California's death penalty reality. California hasn't executed nobody in nearly 20 years, and juries increasingly choose life without parole instead of death sentences, with over 900 people currently on death row, but none getting that final ride recently. California's death row has basically become the most expensive version of life behind bars, with all the legal drama and costs of capital cases, but none of the actual send-offs. Even if the DA decides to push for the death penalty against David, several things work in his favor when it comes to dodging that permanent nap. His age is a major factor. At 20 years old, David's youth could influence how the jury sees his punk ass. While he's legally grown, many juries don't want to sentence someone in their early 20s to die, especially when they could potentially get their mind right over decades. Plus, David doesn't have any known prior criminal history, which usually helps avoid the chair. First-time offenders, even in the most grimy cases, often get life sentences instead of death, because juries like to save capital punishment for repeat violent offenders or cats with extensive rap sheets full of bodies. Ironically, David's celebrity status might actually help his situation. While being famous could make him a target in some ways, high-profile defendants often get better legal representation and generate cases that prosecutors handle carefully because of all the media circus. Celebrity status could push toward life without parole instead of the death penalty, since prosecutors might want to avoid the three-ring circus that usually comes with celebrity death penalty cases. But let's break down what David would actually face if convicted of the charges the evidence suggests. For first-degree murder with special circumstances, the sentencing options are 25 years life without parole, or death. However, even if sentenced to death, the reality is he joined the 900+ inmates on California's death row who will likely never actually get that final injection. The different charges David could catch carry various sentences that could still result in him dying behind bars. For statutory rape, depending on the age difference and circumstances, sentences can range from up to 1 year county jail and $1,000 fine for misdemeanors to 16 months, 4 years state prison, and $10,000 fine for felonies, plus lifetime sex offender registration. If the victim is under 14, sentences can be up to 8 years in the pen. For lewd acts with a child, the sentences get much more serious. 3, 8 years prison for victims under 14, up to 10 years if force is involved, with a $10,000 fine and lifetime sex offender registration. This charge also counts as a strike under California's 3 strikes law, meaning any future felony convictions would result in doubled sentences. That's some serious time multiplier right there. Federal enticement charges under 18 U.S.C. 2422 carry 10 years life federal prison with fines up to $250,000 and supervised release, while California PC 288.4 carries up to 4 years in the Bing. For murder charges that don't result in death sentences, second-degree murder carries 15 years life, while voluntary manslaughter would result in 11 years. Even the lesser charges pack serious heat. Desecration of human remains is a felony carrying 16 months, 3 years prison, and a $10,000 fine, while tampering with evidence can be either a misdemeanor, up to 6 months jail, $1,000 fine, or a felony, 16 months, 3 years prison. The real thing is that if convicted on multiple counts, sentences could total decades to life. California's sentencing structure allows for consecutive sentences on multiple charges, meaning David could effectively get a life bid even without formal life imprisonment or death penalty charges. There's another factor cats don't think about. Prosecutors might choose not to seek the death penalty to avoid all the complications and costs that come with capital cases. Death penalty cases cost way more paper than regular murder trials, take years longer to resolve, and face automatic appeals that can drag on for decades. Prosecutors might not even seek death to avoid appeals delays. The burning question everyone's asking, why hasn't this dude been booked yet? Legal experts say arrests require probable cause and sufficient evidence to avoid case dismissal. The main obstacles include the pending autopsy results. Without a confirmed cause of death, detectives can't upgrade to charges like murder, and a premature arrest risks weakening the prosecution.
Look, no matter what, panic deleting will never get you out of it. If this becomes a criminal matter, which it already is, the LAPD is looking at this as a homicide, and I have no doubt that David, even if he's cooperating, is obviously a suspect.
Police are currently reviewing Tesla's black box data, surveillance footage from around the block, and digital footprints from social media and messaging platforms. Celeste's runaway history and potential prior contact with David add complexity, but need backing up through concrete evidence. The public reaction has been demanding swift street justice. Public outrage on platforms like Twitter and Reddit, with users questioning LAPD delays and speculating on guilt based on circumstantial links, shows the intense pressure on law enforcement to move quickly. But the legal system operates on evidence and procedure, not mob justice.
Put him in jail for so long, I want the nail polish to fade away. Put him in jail. David should never be out of jail. Put him in jail so long until they can beat the brakes out, beat him up. The old cats in jail beat him up.
The entertainment industry already decided this cat's fate, regardless of what happens in court. David's career is severely damaged, streams drop, collaborations paused, and fan accounts are switching up. The scandal triggered widespread fallout across music, streaming, and fan communities, with collaborators like Jimmy Kimmel and SZA deleting content, and some artists preemptively removing features to avoid association. Public discussion highlights systemic problems in the music industry, including ignoring red flags involving young female fans and the power imbalances that exist between rising stars and their followers. This case became a catalyst for broader conversations about how the entertainment industry enables and protects potential predators. The most likely outcome, based on California's current legal landscape and the evidence presented, is that if David gets convicted of the most serious charges, he'd catch life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, especially if evidence shows involvement in hiding the body or statutory offenses given the age gap. This outcome serves the same purpose as the death penalty, ensuring David never harms another young person, while avoiding the political and legal complications that come with capital punishment in California. From a justice standpoint, spending 60+ years locked up until natural death occurs achieves the same protective effect for society as execution, just through different means. The broader implications extend far beyond one person's fate. Advocacy groups for missing and exploited children have called for faster action and industry accountability, using this tragedy as a rallying cry for systemic changes in how the entertainment industry handles relationships between adult performers and underage fans. Whether David ultimately gets the death penalty, life without parole, or some combination of lesser sentences that effectively amount to life imprisonment, this case already sent a clear message. Fame, money, and influence can't protect predators from justice forever. The evidence keeps piling up like bodies in a gang war. The investigation keeps moving, and Celeste Rivas, Hernandez's story became a symbol of the need to protect vulnerable young people from those who would exploit their trust and admiration. How this whole situation turned the music game upside down. The music industry got flipped on its head when what started as some workers complaining about a nasty smell at a Hollywood tow yard ended up exposing one of the most twisted criminal investigations involving a rising star that the entertainment world has ever witnessed. This ain't just another celebrity getting hemmed up. This is a case that ripped off the mask on the darkest parts of fame, power, and the predatory moves that can lurk behind all that glitz and glamour. Singer David was sitting pretty at the top of his meteoric rise when everything came crashing down like a house of cards. The 20-year-old indie R&B sensation had hearts captured worldwide with his unique sound and mysterious persona. With nearly 4 million followers on TikTok alone, billions of streams across platforms, and straight fire tracks like Romantic Homicide and Here With Me, David was looking like the next big thing. His come-up story from a teenage gamer making Fortnite montages to a chart-topping artist was some real rags to riches internet legend type shit.
So this is December 21st, 2021. And I looked up how to make music on iPhone, and this app called BandLab comes up. I click on it, I put my Apple earbuds in, and I use my sister's closet as a studio.
David's rise was straight organic, starting as a Fortnite content creator who began making his own beats to avoid copyright strikes on his gaming videos. His moms literally created his whole career by telling him to make your own music when he was crying about copyright issues. This young cat, who recorded his biggest bangers on his iPhone in his sister's closet, had seemingly made it to the promised land through pure talent and grinding. But behind this inspiring success story, some horrifying truth was lurking in the shadows that would expose how fame and power get weaponized to exploit and harm the most vulnerable people in our communities. The timeline of terror started jumping off on September 8, 2025, when police got called to reports of a foul odor coming from a Tesla that was impounded at Hollywood Tow Service in Los Angeles. What they found in that front trunk sent shockwaves through not just the music industry, but the whole damn world. The badly decomposed and chopped up body found wrapped in plastic was later identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a young shorty who had been missing since April 2024. But this wasn't just some random street crime. The Tesla was registered directly to David Anthony Burke, creating an immediate connection between the rising star and the victim that would only get more twisted as details kept coming out. Celeste had been reported missing from Lake Elsinore, California when she was just 13 years old. Her family had been searching the streets for her for over a year, never knowing their worst nightmares were playing out in the glamorous world of music industry fame. Her mother, Maria Hernandez, revealed that the family got a disturbing anonymous phone phone call shortly after Celeste's disappearance, with the caller warning, "Stop looking for her, she's gone." The investigation revealed details that would make anybody's blood run cold. The medical examiner's report stated that Celeste's body was severely decomposed, and she was wearing a tube top, black leggings, a yellow bracelet, and stud earrings. But the detail that connected her directly to David and suggested some intimate relationship was discovered when investigators found that both Celeste and David had matching tattoos on their right index fingers.
We had actually spoken to Celeste's mother last week. And at that point, the police had said that the tattoo was there, but the mom told us more information, which the police had not released, which was that the tattoo was in red ink.
This wasn't just some coincidence. This was evidence of an intimate relationship that prosecutors would argue demonstrates premeditation and control over this young girl. Celeste's moms had already confirmed to TMZ that her daughter had been talking about having a boyfriend named David, connecting all the dots like a roadmap for prosecutors building their case. But the horror only got deeper as investigators started digging into the timeline of their relationship. Multiple posts on social media and resurfaced photos claim David started messing around with Celeste when she was around 13 or 14 years old, with investigations revealing that these two had been communicating since Celeste was as young as 11 or 12 years old, with Discord messages dating back to 2022. The digital evidence that surfaced paints a picture of systematic grooming and manipulation that went on for years. Photos circulating online show David with a girl matching Celeste's description, often with her face covered or obscured. Word on the streets is that David was paying people to keep quiet about the relationship, sending cease and desist letters and threatening lawsuits to shut people up.
Staff statement regarding the situation is in announcements. My fault for the double ping. I deleted it by accident. Someone's saying help purge. Group command purge deletes the specified amount of messages from the current channel.
What makes this case even more chilling is how David's own music seemed to predict the horror that would unfold. His biggest banger, Romantic Homicide, got lyrics that now sound like a straight confession. In the back of my mind, I killed you and I didn't even regret it. The song, which got over 1.6 billion streams, was released on September 7th, which happens to be Celeste's birthday.
It appears she may have been killed on her birthday. She may have been killed on September 7th. The body was actually located in the impound in the back of the Tesla on September 9th. What we do know, right, is it was parked outside for 2 days before they brought it into the impound.
The pattern extends beyond just this one track. Investigators uncovered what appears to be a whole catalog of music that takes on sinister meaning when viewed through the lens of this case. There was allegedly a song that leaked called Celeste that David reportedly wrote in 2023, with lyrics that seem to directly reference the victim and their relationship. The response from David's inner circle has been telling as hell. Twitch streamer Jason the Ween, a close friend and collaborator with David, initially had his back, but has since completely switched up.
No, listen, he didn't do it. He literally performed the next day. If he was a suspect, the police would have been after him. He's not a suspect.
He's not just escaping the police clutches?
But as the evidence started mounting like a pyramid, even David's closest homies couldn't maintain their defense.
I feel like I need to speak on this, okay? Be serious for a minute. Because the narrative that's been spun on Twitter. First off, I want to retract my statement. Obviously, the other day, I was defending David before all the new evidence came out. I do not condone anything that David has done.
The entertainment industry's response has been swift and brutal, with companies racing to distance themselves from this scandal like it was radioactive. David, signed to Interscope Records, saw swift action from his label amid the investigation. On September 19, 2025, Interscope shut down all promotional activities for David, including pausing streams, social media pushes, and new releases. Major brands rapidly distanced themselves from David following the scandal's explosion. Crocs and Hollister announced they were pulling all promotional materials featuring David from their Dream Drop joint campaign, which had launched just days before the scandal broke, a campaign that was supposed to cement his status as a mainstream cultural icon.
But what's weird is that Crocs dropped him.
Yeah, why would they do that?
That's weird.
Yeah, and Hollister, like what? Why would they do that? Guilty till proven innocent? No, innocent till proven guilty.
The case has exposed systematic failures within the entertainment industry and social media platforms that enabled this alleged predatory behavior to continue unchecked for years. Fan accounts are rebranding, with one major David Stan page declaring, "I feel betrayed. Disgusting actions. Can't support this." The very fans who had propelled David to stardom now felt like they were complicit in a system that failed to protect a vulnerable young girl. Advocacy groups like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children have amplified calls for industry accountability, highlighting grooming patterns that go far beyond this single case. This ain't just about one artist's crimes. It's about an entire system that allows celebrities to exploit their power and influence to harm young fans. Celeste's family has been vocal about their grief and frustration since her remains were discovered. Her family was reportedly aware of Celeste's alleged involvement with David through social media, but felt powerless to intervene because she kept insisting everything was fine. They have accused David of grooming and manipulation, with her mother Maria stating, "He preyed on her vulnerability. We trusted her words, but now we know better." The case has also raised disturbing questions about the role of social media platforms and fan communities in enabling predatory behavior. Evidence suggests that people within David's Discord server and fan communities were aware of his relationship with underage girls, but remained silent. Recent evidence shows active attempts to delete incriminating messages and cover up evidence, suggesting a broader conspiracy to protect the artist at the expense of vulnerable victims. As investigators continue to piece together the timeline of events, the scope of this case continues to expand. This ain't just about one murder. It's about years of alleged grooming, exploitation, and systematic abuse of power that was hidden in plain sight. The very platforms and communities that celebrated David's rise to fame may have been complicit in enabling the abuse of the young fans who looked up to him. The David case has become more than just a criminal investigation. It's become a symbol of everything wrong with celebrity culture, social media exploitation, and the music industry's failure to protect young fans from predatory behavior. As of September 20th, 2025, the family is cooperating with the LAPD and has called for a thorough investigation while urging the public to focus on justice rather than speculation. Whether David ultimately catches the death penalty or spends the rest of his life locked up, this case has already changed how we think about the relationship between celebrities and their young fans. Celeste Rivas Hernandez didn't just lose her life. She became a symbol of all the young people who have been failed by systems that prioritize fame and profit over protection and safety. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.